Part 1. They say some moments burn into your memory so vividly you can recall every second, every shadow on the wall, every breath. For me, it was the moment Regina stood in front of her family, held up my wallet like it was something disgusting, and shouted, "You're a failure, you can't even pay the bills." She threw the wallet onto the dining room table with a slap that echoed louder than her words. I didn't say a thing. Her sister's husband chuckled and nudged his beer can with a cocky smirk, his eyes drifting toward the driveway. "Mind if I take that little car of his for a spin when you kick him out?" he joked. Regina's sisters laughed. Her mother looked on with judgmental silence, the kind that doesn't need words to scream you were never good enough. I stood there in the home I'd worked 2 jobs to afford, watching my wife tear me apart in front of people I once tried to call family. I didn't argue, didn't defend myself. I just looked at Regina, really looked, and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Then I walked out. No slamming doors, no threats, no raised voice, just silence. 4 days passed, 13 voicemails stacked up on my phone. The tone changed with each one. First irritation, then confusion, and finally desperation. That alone should have told me something was off. On the 5th day, I came home earlier than I'd planned. I parked quietly in front of the house. The driveway had fresh tire marks, unfamiliar, wider than my car's, and I instantly got that low, coiling feeling in my gut that something wasn't right. The blinds in the front window were tilted awkwardly. I peeked through them and froze. There she was, Regina, in our bedroom, moving with purpose, not packing for a trip, not throwing things around. No, this was methodical, precise. She was wrapping gifts, not just any gifts, the ones I'd given her over our 5 years together. The diamond earrings from our last anniversary. The Tag Heuer watch I'd saved up for over 6 months, picking up weekend shifts and canceling my own birthday dinner to afford. Still in its box, untouched. She was humming to herself. Not sad, not angry. Calm, cheerful even. I pushed open the front door and stepped inside. She didn't hear me right away. I stood in the bedroom doorway, arms crossed, watching her delicately wrap the necklace I'd given her on our first Christmas together. The one she said was the most thoughtful thing anyone's ever done for me. She turned, startled, the necklace dangling from her fingers. "Oh," she said, smoothing her hair like she'd just caught herself brushing crumbs off the counter. "You're home early." I didn't answer. "Well," she continued, voice chipper, "saves me the trouble of texting you. I'm leaving. Colton and I are moving in together." Colton, her boss. The same Colton she'd been working late with. The one she said I was paranoid about whenever I asked. The one whose name she said with that performative eye roll like I was the insecure husband trying to control her. I didn't move, didn't speak. My stomach turned cold. She looked me over, smiled in that smug way I'd started seeing too often lately, like I was something beneath her. "And yes, before you ask, I'm taking the gifts," she added, patting the watch box. "I earned these." "Earned?" I said finally, my voice steady. "Oh, don't be dramatic," she laughed, waving her hand at the room, our room. "You're acting like this is a surprise." God, Colton was right. You are predictable. She walked past me toward the dresser and pulled out more jewelry boxes, piling them into her bag. "You know what Colton said when he saw this watch," she went on. "He said it was cute that you thought this was luxury. He wears one worth 10 times this." Still, I didn't respond. My silence only seemed to embolden her. "You just stand there like some pathetic little boy," she said. "It's exactly why I'm leaving. Colton's a real man. He doesn't settle for mediocrity. He takes what he wants." She waved a hand at the modest bedroom I had worked so hard to keep in good shape, the house I'd bought with every dime and hour of overtime. "You," she scoffed, "you're just content. You're basic." She kept talking, listing off Colton's salary, the luxury car, the promises he'd made. "I bet you didn't even know he makes 6 times what you do," she added with a grin. I did know, actually, more than she realized, but I kept quiet. Every word she said was fuel. She didn't know I'd already moved most of our money. She didn't know what I'd spent the last 3 months preparing for. She didn't know the kind of quiet damage a basic man could do when he stops loving someone and starts documenting. Part 2. Regina was still talking, still trying to hurt me with her words, not realizing every one of them was doing the opposite. She thought she was winning, that she'd pulled off the perfect exit. "You know," she said, stacking the jewelry boxes like she was playing emotional Jenga, "I should have left you years ago. You don't challenge me, you don't push me. Colton, he's ambitious, he has plans, real ones. Not whatever this life was." She waved her hand again. "A 3-bedroom house in a boring neighborhood, ramen for dinner during the tough months, saving coupons. I deserve better." I finally spoke again. Calm, even. The kind of calm that unsettles people who expect you to scream. "You're right," I said. "You do deserve better. You deserve someone who matches you, she smirked. Exactly, which is why you and Colton are a perfect match. Her face faltered for just a second. The smile froze at the edges. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said, shrugging. Just that I'm basic enough to keep receipts, she blinked. What? I'm basic enough, I said slowly. To have printed every financial statement, saved every text message, recorded every conversation, logged every lie. She opened her mouth, closed it, then gave a forced laugh. Please, like any of that matters. You think anyone cares about your little spreadsheet folder? Maybe, I said, stepping aside from the doorway. Maybe not. But like you said, I'm basic. And basic guys, we tend to plan ahead. She hesitated. For the first time I saw it, the crack in her mask. It was small, barely visible, but it was there. Still, she forced herself to scoff. Whatever, Colton's waiting. I didn't move, didn't block her, just stood there quiet. She gathered her bags and brushed past me, leaving behind the faint trace of expensive perfume, one I'd never bought her. Something musky and dramatic, trying too hard. She paused at the door, hand on the handle. You'll regret this, when you see me with Colton, living the life you could never give me. I nodded. Maybe I'll just be too busy enjoying peace. She snorted and yanked open the door, slamming it behind her with more force than necessary. Through the window I watched her stumble slightly under the weight of her bags. Colton didn't get out to help. Interesting, I didn't follow her. Instead I sat down, opened my laptop and unlocked the password-protected folder I'd been building for months. Screenshots, voicemails, GPS records, even a few deleted messages I'd managed to recover from our cloud backup. There was a spreadsheet labeled Red Flags. Another tab labeled Financials, Hidden Spending. The last tab, Legal Readiness. Mabel, our elderly neighbor from 2 doors down, had been out in her garden that day. I hadn't realized she'd seen everything, until she appeared at the edge of my lawn holding her phone. Adrian, she called softly, you okay? I stepped outside. The sunlight felt surreal, too warm, too bright. I saw what happened, she said. I recorded some of it. The way she talked to you, it didn't seem right. I stared at her. You recorded it, she nodded. You don't have to use it, but if you need a witness, I'll help. That woman was cruel. I exhaled long and slow. Maybe, I said. I might need that recording, Mabel. Thank you. She patted my arm gently. You deserve better, dear. Regina called me basic, and she was right. Basic enough to keep receipts, basic enough to listen, even when it hurt. Basic enough to wait for the perfect moment, not to explode but to move, quietly, calmly, completely. Let them think they've won, they always do. Part 3. Regina didn't waste time pretending to grieve the end of our marriage. By the next day, she was posting Instagram stories from high-end restaurants, sipping cocktails with Colton's Rolex prominently accidentally in frame. The captions were classics. New beginnings, upgraded life, real love. Every post was a curated performance, like she was starring in a reality show no one had asked for. The best part? She kept tagging me, in every photo, every video. Like she wanted to rub it in my face, like she thought I'd be sitting at home, wallowing with a microwave dinner and an empty bottle of whatever. What she didn't know was that while she was busy uploading her new highlight reel, I was quietly uploading something else entirely. Evidence. And it was about to start working for me. It began with a message from an unexpected source. Poppy, Regina's sister. We hadn't spoken in over a year. She'd always been polite but distant. The kind of person who sends birthday texts because it's polite, not because she cares. But now she was calling me on Facebook Messenger. Hey, Adrian, she said, her voice a little shaky. Hey Poppy, I don't even know where to start. Can we talk, like actually talk? We set up a FaceTime call. When she appeared on screen, she looked upset. Not dramatic tears, but genuinely disturbed. Regina's been telling the family you lost it, she said. That you were controlling, that you drained your accounts and left her without warning. Said you were financially abusive. Did she really use those words? I asked calmly. She did, Poppy sighed. I didn't want to believe it, but she's always so convincing. Until today, she paused. Adrian, what's actually going on? I didn't yell, didn't rant. I just showed her screenshots, transaction history, messages from Regina bragging about her new life. The video Mabel had recorded of Regina's farewell speech, the one where she joked about earning her gifts and mocked my watch. Poppy watched in silence. When it ended, she just whispered, "Oh my God, she told us you stole Grandma's wedding ring," she said. "The one Mom gave her, said you were holding it hostage." I almost laughed. "That ring?" I asked. She took it. It was in the same box as the basic gifts. "The one she's probably already pawned." Poppy went quiet for a moment. Then, "Adrian, this isn't the first time." I tilted my head. "What do you mean?" "She did something like this in college," Poppy admitted. "Dated a guy who helped her through school, then ditched him the week after graduation for someone with a trust fund. She told us he'd cheated. Now, I wonder." I let that sit in silence for a while. Some truths hit harder when left to echo. But it didn't stop there. A few days later I got a call from an old high school friend, Colton, who now worked at Regina's company. We hadn't talked in years, but apparently news travels fast. "I saw your name in the HR group chat," he said. "Figured I should reach out. What's going on?" He hesitated. "It's Colton." Of course it was. Turns out Mr. Alpha Boss had a reputation, and not the good kind. Word around the office was that Colton liked to mentor attractive younger employees, bought them gifts, invited them to company dinners, then discarded them when he got bored. The kicker, HR had quietly settled 2 complaints in the past 3 years. All off the record, all hush-hush. "But hey," Holden said with a dry chuckle, "maybe it'll be different this time, right?" I didn't say anything, but I made a mental note, because there's nothing more valuable than knowing someone's pattern, especially when they think they're untouchable. Regina kept pushing her fairy tale, and I kept making moves. When 3 of my old clients, people I'd developed relationships with over the years, heard I was leaving my firm, they asked where I was going next. I didn't badmouth Colton, didn't name names. I just said I was exploring new opportunities and had some exciting ideas for a firm that valued integrity over appearances. A week later, those clients pulled their business from Regina's firm and signed with my new employer. Just a coincidence, of course. Regina wouldn't realize until it was too late. Then came Rain. No, not weather. Rain, capital R, Regina's former best friend from college. They'd had a dramatic falling out years ago. Something about boundaries, though Regina had never told me the full story. I ran into Rain at the gym. She was lifting more than I could and had zero patience for small talk. But when I mentioned Regina's name, her eyebrow shot up. "She's still ruining lives?" she asked over her protein shake, more aggressively than ever. "She hasn't changed," Rain said. "Always looking for her next upgrade." There was a pause, then she smiled. "Want to grab dinner sometime?" I blinked. "Like a date," she grinned. "Like 2 adults eating food. If it turns into something else, well, we'll see." We went to that trendy new bistro downtown, the one Regina kept hinting at but Colton never took her to. Rain posted a photo of our drinks with the caption, #peace over pretense. Regina saw it. Of course she did. She even sent me a message. "Wow, real mature." I didn't respond. Sometimes silence is louder than screaming. Part 4. They say karma moves slowly. Not always. Sometimes it just needs a little push. And sometimes you get to watch it pull up in a moving truck and unload a full set of consequences right on your ex's front porch. The first crack appeared early one morning, 7 a.m. to be exact, when I heard aggressive pounding on my front door. I opened it to find Regina, mascara smeared, hair a mess, wrinkled designer coat that had clearly been slept in. Behind her, the sun had barely risen, but her voice was already at full volume. "You planned this," she shrieked. I blinked. "Planned what? Don't play dumb, Adrian," she spat. "Colton's been freaking out about work, and now everything's falling apart. You did this." I leaned against the doorframe, coffee mug in hand. "What exactly do you think I did? You turned everyone against us," she cried. "Poppy, Mom, Rain, even your creepy neighbor with her stupid garden gnome obsession." "Mabel?" I asked. "She's delightful. Also, she's the WA president now." Regina didn't laugh. Instead, she shoved a stack of printouts in my face, credit card statements it looked like. "These are all maxed out," she snapped. "The dinners, the bags, the apartment, it's all on Colton's cards. He said we'd be fine. That you were broke. You must have told people something." I sipped my coffee. "No, Regina," I said calmly. "You told people something. I just let you." That hit. Her mouth opened, then closed again like a fish dropped on dry land. She started pacing on my porch like a frantic realtor trying to sell a condemned house. "I gave up everything for him," she yelled. "Everything, and now I'm stuck with a man who, he won't even look at me when his team's in the room. You did this." "Admit it," I shrugged. "I told you. I'm just basic." Her eyes narrowed. "You smug bastard. You think you've won because you're dating Rain? Please. She's just using you." "Maybe," I said, "but at least she's honest about it." Regina turned red. "You think getting a better job makes you a man? Colton still makes 3 times what you do, does he?" I asked. "Have you checked those numbers recently?" Her lips parted. The fear flickered again. Because the merger news wasn't public yet. But Regina, bless her soul, had never been good at reading confidential emails thoroughly, especially the parts about departmental audits. That same week, Colton decided to confront me himself. He caught me outside a cafe where Rain and I were having breakfast, striding up like he owned the street. Expensive coat, $1,000 haircut, eyes that screamed insecure alpha energy. "Adrian," he said, crowding me against my car, "we need to talk." I smiled. "We talking before or after your expense report audit?" He blinked. "What? The one starting Monday," I said casually. "Standard procedure during mergers. They'll be reviewing company card charges, client dinners, hotel invoices, all that mentorship stuff." "I don't know what you're talking about," he muttered. "Maybe not," I said. "Like Regina said, I'm just basic. but I do know numbers. And yours, I stared him dead in the eyes. They don't add up. Rain, who had been sipping her iced coffee the whole time, glanced up. Oh look, she said, loud enough for the sidewalk to hear. It's Mr. High-Value Man. Are you lost or just spiraling? Colton turned and walked off. Rain posted the clip on her Instagram story. Accidentally, of course. The following days were chaos in 4K. Regina's parents called a family meeting about the missing wedding ring, the one she said I had stolen. Turned out, she'd pawned it for a down payment on a designer purse. The pawn shop receipt was still in the bottom of her bag. Her mom cried, Poppy screamed, Regina blamed me. Again, Colton's shine wore off fast, too. The audit didn't uncover anything criminal. He wasn't that reckless, but it raised enough red flags to put his position under evaluation. He didn't like being questioned, especially not by my new firm, which had just acquired his. Yes, that's right. The competition I joined bought his company. And guess who got assigned to the transition team? This basic guy right here. Part 5 final. The merger finalized last Thursday. By Friday afternoon, Colton was no longer employed. No grand announcement, no dramatic showdown. Just a quiet escort from the building after a closed-door meeting where HR reviewed the audit results and concluded that his leadership no longer aligned with company values. The cameras in the office caught his exit. He threw his laptop across the room on his way out. It hit a ficus. Classic. I wish I could say it felt triumphant, like the final boss falling in a game, but really, it felt like watching someone take the fall they spent years climbing toward. Regina was there, of course. She'd shown up uninvited to support him during his stressful day. She walked into the office wearing the Cartier bracelet Colton had bought her last month, or so she claimed. Instagram had been eating up her posts all week. #LuxuryLove and #PowerCoupleGoals. Funny thing though, the bracelet, fake. Colton had been maxing out his credit cards and buying replica luxury items from shady overseas sites. I know this because one of my contacts in the finance department flagged his spending patterns as inconsistent. When HR finally asked about the off-book gifts, Colton crumbled. In front of everyone. Regina, ever the spotlight addict, tried to save face. Tell them, she shrieked, grabbing his arm. Tell them how rich you are, show them your accounts. Colton, red-faced and sweating, whispered something back. I'm not sure what he said, but Regina's face turned sheet white. Her voice shot up an octave. What do you mean declined? What do you mean lease cancellation? You said. Security stepped in before she could throw her heel at him. Rain watched the entire scene play out from the mezzanine with a bag of popcorn. Better than HBO, she whispered. Someone caught the moment on their phone. I'm told it's viral on TikTok now under the tag #LuxuryMeltdown. But the real cherry on top, Regina's emergency fund. The one she so smugly drained when she walked out of our marriage, laughing about how she'd left me enough for ramen. Turns out, unauthorized withdrawals during divorce proceedings aren't just rude. They're illegal. My lawyer filed the motion months ago. The court sided with me. The bank sided with me. Regina's now responsible for paying back every cent she took from the joint account, plus legal fees. And that dream house she and Colton had been manifesting, I made an offer on it last week, cash. The sellers, tired of delays and financing drama, accepted. This week I got the keys. Sometimes being basic means keeping your credit score clean while your ex tries to live like a real housewife on borrowed money. Regina showed up at my house again a few nights ago. It was 3 a.m. and she was pounding on the door like a banshee in Louboutins. You planned this, she screamed. You ruined me. I stayed behind the security chain. Mabel, God bless her, was already outside pretending to walk her dog. Phone angled perfectly at Regina. You did this, I told her. I just kept receipts. Regina started crying. Not performative sobs, real, raw, desperate crying. I made a mistake, she whispered. I should have stayed. You're not basic. You're stable, successful, safe. She looked at me like she was seeing me clearly for the first time. You were the smart one all along, she added, her voice trembling. Can't we fix this? I thought about it for a second. Then someone stepped up beside me, Rain, wearing one of my college sweatshirts and holding a cup of tea. Regina, she said, we both know you don't actually miss him. You miss what he gave you, security, attention, safety. But you gave that up for a guy who buys knockoff bracelets and lives on credit. Regina blinked. You, she whispered. You and her. How long? Rain smiled. Long enough to see through your Instagram filters. I gently closed the door on Regina's final meltdown. Through the glass, I watched her storm off to her now repossessed Honda Civic. The BMW was gone. So was the fake bracelet. And so was the fantasy. This morning I signed the final divorce papers. Everything's done now, official. Regina tried to contest the settlement. Said it was unfair. Said I manipulated her. But the court reviewed the documents, screenshots, bank statements, audio clips. Mabel even testified. Her recordings helped seal the case. Regina walked out with nothing but the bag she left with. and a stack of bills I no longer have to worry about. I walked out with my dignity and a fresh start. I moved into the new house last weekend. It's quiet, peaceful. Rain helped me paint the living room. We made pasta from scratch the first night and watched bad reality TV while laughing at people who lied for attention. We slept like babies. There's no designer furniture here yet. No luxury watches, no fake social media moments, just calm. And sometimes a calm life is the most luxurious thing in the world. Epilogue. People like Regina think the loudest person wins. They think control means shouting down the truth before it can breathe. But sometimes the best revenge is simply being okay. Being so okay it makes them question everything. She called me basic. She was right. I was basic enough to keep receipts, basic enough to plan ahead, and basic enough to survive her destruction without ever raising my voice. Sometimes that's all it takes. Basic, no prepared. And finally, free.